Hey everyone, it's Delana. My YouTube channel is about bringing you guys the behind the scene things that go on these $1 million plus transactions in real estate. I've been in the business here in Arizona for over 15 years now, and I have certainly learned a lot along the way in every single one of the transactions that I've been a part of. So I just wanted to bring you guys along with my journey and kind of go back over each one of those transactions and take away from the learning lessons that I learned from each one of these. This particular house right here was my highest resale. And at that time in 2019, that was the highest resale in all of Arizona. The second highest resale was 15 million, and it was actually the cousin to the seller of this house. This house is 20,000 square feet, and I think it was just over 875 of what we sold it for, and it has 6 bedrooms and 14 baths. So this is the front of the house. So one of the first lessons I learned in this particular transaction was don't judge a book by its cover. I knew that the buyer that was coming was Canadian, and I'm also Canadian. So I even told my partner at the time, like, let me deal with this. I speak Canadian. I can talk to these people. So when they actually showed up, he was a farmer from Saskatchewan. So, and he looked like that as well. So, not your typical $1 million buyer here in Arizona. So he had a big t-shirt, cargo shorts on, and Tavias, and his wife was sort of the same. Like, she didn't have any fancy purses or anything like that. So not your typical buyer, but super nice people. We knew the other agent on the other side, and he is your typical $1 million listings guy with the 3-piece suit, top-notch agent in town, and these people were recommended to him from someone in Saskatchewan. So never judge a book by its cover. You never know who's going to come at the door, and like, there's no box that you can put any of these buyers in. Another thing that I would recommend is not asking for proof of funds. That was one issue that actually I've learned this along every transaction. For all the transactions that we have, we've never asked for proof of funds. For the few times that you might show it to someone that's not qualified, is better off than pissing off someone who is actually a legitimate buyer. I truly believe these people would have been offended if we would have asked for proof of funds. But so we didn't, and everything worked out. But super people. But like I said, never judge a book by its cover. You never know what shape or form any buyer is going to come in, especially here in Arizona. So this is when you walk in the front of the house. You can see the trusses up top, the nice wood trusses, the hardwood floors, all the doors opening to outside. Just a beautiful house. So much craftsmanship in this house. You can see the limestone fireplace with all that intricate detail. Nowadays, it's very fine lines, straight, contemporary look. I really appreciate the design and the workmanship that goes into houses like this. It just makes it so much more unique. This house was built in 2014, so it was a lot more Tuscany than the style that you're seeing now. At that time, this style was kind of Tuscany was just sort of going out. However, I believe this house is just timeless with all the quality and craftsmanship in this house. This is the kitchen. You have the double marble island with the black cabinets underneath. One of the great features of this kitchen is this La Cornue stove. They actually imported this stove from France. It was over $75,000. And it's just gorgeous. I love the color. I love that brand, La Cornue. I wanted to use it in one of the houses that I was flipping, like a tinier version, like a 40-inch version of this. And I just couldn't get that color, so I ended up going with a different brand. But anyways, just love it. It's just a statement piece in the kitchen. They actually had a butler's kitchen as well. So a butler's kitchen, you actually have appliances so you could cook food. So technically the butler or the caterers can be in a separate area and not intermingle with all the guests when you have people over. So this is their butler's kitchen. And if you walk straight through, you can see that walk-in fridge. And actually, when I opened the door to that fridge, they just had jug after jug of Chick-fil-A lemonade, which was so funny because I didn't even know that they sold lemonade at Chick-fil-A by the jug. But anyways, it was delicious. We had some when we were there, and it was just funny to see. You could tell they have no kids or anything because it wasn't stuffed full of food. It was just jugs of lemonade. So this is their actual breakfast nook. And another lesson I learned along this way, it doesn't matter what price the house is at. never take a listing that is overpriced. When they first started selling this house, they were at $24.5 million, which was over $1,200 a foot. Nothing in this area was selling for over, I'd say, $700-800 a foot. So to be at the 1,200 mark was just over the top. I know it was a 20,000 square foot house, and it was on almost 4 acres, but at $1,200, that was just unrealistic price for this house. And I know they put a lot of work and a lot of custom built in this house, but sometimes you just don't get that money back that you put into it. They also had Venetian plaster throughout the whole house, which is very expensive. But sometimes with things like that, it's just you're not going to get your money back out of it. So at this point, we had to talk to them about bringing it under $20 million. So they had started at 24.5, went down to 22, and they canceled the listing. And then we came in, and my partner and I, we had discussed it before that we were not going to take the listing unless it was under 20 million. And we recommended the price of 18,995, and that's what we settled on. And we ended up selling it for 1750. And then they also bought the furniture as well on the side. So it doesn't matter what the listing is at. Someone can say, well, I want to sell it for 50 million, or I have a $50 million listing. Well, who cares if you can only sell it for 20 million or 15 million? It doesn't really matter. You have to be very realistic with the price with the sellers, because you're just going to end up wasting your time. There's no sense of bragging over a $1 million listing if you can't sell it. All you can do is brag about your sales, not necessarily your listings. So this is the great room of the house, just the extension of from the kitchen that moves you straight out here to their large patio that overlooks their pool, mountain views, sea light views. They have a huge outdoor barbecue there. This is their master bedroom. For the size of the house, this master bedroom was very cute and quaint. There was a long hallway that went down into, so it was very separate. So you walked down a long hallway and you had this really nice master bedroom with all the doors going outside. They actually had his and her bathrooms, which I thought was great. Apparently, that's the key to a long marriage, is having his and her washrooms. So you see that really nice fireplace there at the end. I thought that was pretty unique. I'd never seen that before. And even the detail on that fireplace, they just didn't chip anywhere in this house. Everything was just overdone, top notch. The cabinets, I love that green color. Just a really nice, adds color, but it's a very timeless color. Green is sort of coming back, but for me, it's never gone away. But it's just such a pretty green color, and you can see the wood on the ceiling of the closet. And this is his closet. And then you have his washroom. And then across from their master, she had her office, which was really quaint. Had the doors going to the front, so she had the mountain views out there. And it was just a really nice her office. So when you walked into the garage, you could access the master bedroom, her office, the great room. So they could really live at a quarter of the house and not have to traipse through the entire house. But this was like one of the coolest parts of the whole house was this saloon room. I love the trunk going through the bar, and the green appliances. That's called the Big Chill, those appliances, and I love them. I ended up using them in my own house just because I saw them in this house and I just thought they were really cool. They're very retro, vintage looking appliances. And again, here's another picture of the saloon, and you can see the barn there on the left, and the doors going to outside. It had a beautiful city light view from there. And also up on the second floor, we had this media room. And this was just so cool. Like when you came up, you opened up these doors, and it was like you walked into a barn with like movie theater seats. It was just so unexpected. They're like, "Oh, here's a media room." You open the door, and it's, oh my god, I'm in a barn, but there was huge screen TV, and there's these seats, and you can see the metal roof and the wood there at the back. It's literally a movie theater in a barn. And as we walk past the saloon and things like that, we go through this hallway, and there's a breezeway. All those doors open up to outside, so you really get that. If you wanted to, get that breezeway all the way through it. And there was actually like a little river running underneath that, so it kind of separated the house into two. So you had one side, walk down this hall, and then we come into this room, which is the taxidermy room. This room was about 2,000 square feet, and we had a lot of these animals in there. So this was just a quarter of what was there. One other thing that I learned in this transaction was about withholding funds. So the buyer was cash. He wanted to put a quick close. However, they had to get all these animals out of here, and they had to actually knock down that wall, get the animals out, and then rebuild the wall. So that had to be done. So what we ended up doing was closing on the transaction, and the buyer withheld $75,000 from the house to till this was done. And this actually ended up becoming a real big problem because when they took the in-laws out, this obviously all the stonework was imported from France here on the exterior of the house. So when they tried to build back the stone, it wasn't as seamless as it would have if you had done it all at the same time. So the buyer wasn't happy. The seller wasn't happy because essentially he was doing everything he could do to accommodate and just get the some stone back, but they couldn't, obviously salvage all the stone that was originally there. So, anyways, I highly recommend when you have a situation like that is closing on the deal. The buyer loves the house; he's still there now, but I really truly feel if we hadn't closed on the house and we had to do this before the close, emotions were just running so high at that point. I find that rationale kind of goes out the window. So I really don't think we would have closed on this transaction if all this had gone down before the close. But since we were closed, he kind of was moved in. It was just like, okay, let's just compensate on either side. Let's just fix it to the best of our ability and move on. And like I said, sometimes emotions get high and logic goes out the window. So we ended up closing on this. Everybody's happy now, but I highly recommend withholding funds and then getting the transaction done. Emotions can go crazy. So, like this one, thank God everybody was happy at the end. This was his office just past the taxidermy, so he could actually sit in this office and see all his animals from his office. As we keep going down, we have the fitness center. It's a huge fitness center. Just really nice. They had just cool wallpaper on the walls. It had like a court floor, top of the line equipment that was in there. They also had a sauna, steam room, full on spa bathroom there. And then you go to this red elevator, and I love the wallpaper in this elevator. Just the bright red color. They open the door, and boom, there's all this red elevator. It's really cool. Get in the elevator, and then we go down, and we end up in this huge basketball court. They have a climbing wall there at the end. You can see the exposed trusses there, the wood beams. It was just really cool. And the vintage look on the walls, kind of with the stone coming out. And past the basketball court, we had the golf simulator room. They also had a kitchen. One of the 5 kitchens was down there as well. So they used to host a lot of events. There's also this outdoor kitchen. They are part of the Mormon church, and they used to host a lot of events for their church and the kids. So I really, truly believe that this side of the house was built to have these events and to have kids there. So it was really nice. It just, you could tell it fit a lot of people. It was just one older couple that lived in this house, so a lot of space. And I really, truly believe they built this for other people to share. They also had this casita, and again with the big chill appliances, the bright orange ones there in the back, and the views outside. This was pretty much a self-contained house in itself. It was about 2,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, had its own garage, its own patio, kitchen. It had like a master bedroom, and then it had 2 extra beds. They also had their own patio with their own barbecue area, and the Pita de Resistance, or whatever they say, this pool. They had this cute little pool attached to the casita, and then you look out to these views, and you see the saguaros, the desert landscape, the golf course, mountain views. You kind of sum up everything that is desert, Arizona view. This is it all in kind of one shot. So love to be a guest there anytime. This is the garage. I'm showing you this picture because something happened here during our showing. The showing was about 4 or 5 hours long. It was right near the end. We're kind of coming around. And beside the garages here, they actually had a utility room that had all the electrical. And the buyer had asked my partner, he said, well, how much are the electrical bills? And he said, if you have to ask that question, you can't afford this house. Like, totally joking. not serious, just haha, it was a joke. But he did not take it as a joke. And we were in this small room. I swear all the air was like sucked out of that room, like instantaneously. You could just feel it. And I looked at the other agent. I was like, oh my God, what do we do? And I'm just racking my brain like, oh my God, I gotta like change the subject or whatever. So I'm like, okay, he's Canadian. We must have something in common. So I was like, oh, my son has a hockey game later. And I said, oh, you guys like hockey? And he ends up, he owns a major hockey team in Canada, very passionate about hockey, very passionate about coaching and the kids and just developing kids and things like that. And actually, my son's defensive partner here in Arizona was playing for one of his teams up there in Canada. So literally, I thought that this was over. And when I talked to the other agent later, he said he was leaving at that point. He was until you started talking and kind of swayed him away. He goes, he looked at them and said, like, let's go, let's get out of here. So rapport, very important, because even if you're going to slip up along your way, sometimes if you have rapport, you can get away with it. Or if you're making those kind of a jokes or on the side, if you don't really have that rapport, they don't necessarily take it the right way. So rapport is everything, really, really important. And if you can establish it off the get-go, even better. But yeah, having that, finding a common ground when you're losing that deal is really important. Here's a picture of the pool, very spa-like, resort-like pool. It had a hot tub, it had all these different levels, and it was actually a diving pool as well. And we had this beautiful view of the mountain. So they had nobody kind of on that side of them. They had somebody on the other side, but essentially they had 4 acres of land. So very secluded. And this is a picture of the pool at night, just like a 5-star plus resort. Just a beautiful home. All that stonework on the outside. The builder of this home actually built the Silver Lake Country Club, and it looks very similar to this house. All that stone was imported, very European, almost like in an Italian countryside somewhere. Uh, Gorgeous, gorgeous home, so well built. This is your sunset view again. This is the epitome of views, desert views, Scottsdale, North Scottsdale views. This is what people want. This is what we're looking for. Unobstructed. You're not looking down at houses. You're just looking straight over the valley, over the golf course. Just beautiful, beautiful views. So that's what I learned on this transaction. One, don't judge a book by its cover. Again, proof of funds, I wouldn't worry about it. Just show the house, get the deal done. Rely on your other realtors to know that they've qualified their clients. Just don't be picky. You never know who you're going to piss off. You know, get the right listing price. There's no sense. Just if you're trying to get into this market, don't just get in for the sake of, oh, I have a multi-million dollar listing. If it's not feasible to sell at that price, it doesn't matter. It's better to sell a $500,000 house that's priced right than a $20 million house that's not priced right. So very important to manage the expectations of your buyers before you take a listing. And like I said, one of the most important things is if you can develop rapport. Some agents don't like you to talk to their buyers, but most people are pretty open to it. But just try to develop some kind of rapport with people. How are you? Where are you from? You have kids. Find some kind of common ground where you can talk to people, because sometimes you could lose a deal over something. You say something wrong and they take it the wrong way, things like that. So if you have a rapport, it kind of just makes the showing easier. I think it makes them more comfortable in home and not so standoffish, and are willing to listen to you and how you describe different issues, and it's just a much easier showing and easier process if you actually have a rapport with the buyers and the sellers. So hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe. I have many more stories coming. Learned a lot over these years, so hopefully my learning curve is a lot less steep. So I'm just trying to teach you guys some lessons along the way. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe.